All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is 2:30 right on the dot. We're going to get started on time today, which is always awesome. I know the last one went about 45 minutes or so. So we're going to try to keep it more to the 30 minutes today. We'll do the normal market updates. We have some exciting changes to talk about with the smart folios. And as always, the end of the call will be all about your questions. So without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Kelly Korshak. Oops, I switched up the view. There we go. How are you, Kelly?
I'm good. How are you, Lee?
Pretty well.
Good,
Doing well.
good. Let's hello everybody. I'm going to have Lee read this disclosure real quick. Let's get that one out of the way and
Yeah.
try to get to it.
Definitely. And I know we always have new people joining us each week here. So just for those who haven't seen this before, this is kind of our agenda that we go through. So we'll start with the market update with Kelly, talk about the last couple weeks since we last met, any trades that have happened since we last met as well. And then maybe the best part, the Q&A and the Amazon gift card giveaway. But as Kelly said, we do have to do the fun disclosure that everyone loves. So iFlip Investor Inc. and iFlip Financial Services are not financial advisors and do not make, buy, sell, or hold recommendations on any financial instruments. This presentation is for educational purposes only. Unique experiences and past performances do not guarantee future results. All financial instruments involve or investments involve risk. You should speak to your CPA or financial representative to ensure that the iFlip smart folios that you select are suitable for your investment profile before trading in a live brokerage account. With all of that fun stuff out of the way, you want to screen share, Kelly? You have anything to say before you screen share? Or you want to just jump right into it?
Well, I think my screen is being shared. I see it there.
Yep.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I always like to start with a chart up because it's at the end of the day, if you're talking about the markets all are about ultimately a chart. So obviously we do these every 2 weeks. What's happened in the last 2 weeks? Market was down the week before last. And actually the market really has gone nowhere. If anybody can zoom in, I'll make these little bars a little bigger with a candle. So 2 weeks ago is right here. Market's gone nowhere. Yes, we're at all-time highs though. So let's make no mistake, we're at all-time highs. I'm going to jump through some of the market things to talk about the smart folios today, but you still must know where the markets are. That's what we do this for every 2 weeks. The dollar kind of hanging in there. It's up and down inside of a range. I think you can see my mouse moving in the range. It has weakened a little bit over the last 2 weeks. But I think it's just staying in normal ranges. Why did it weaken? Here's why. The bonds. Look at the bonds. The bonds over the last week actually went from about 4.25% down here, and they went all the way. When price goes up, yield goes down. They went down to almost 4.08. Now we're starting to climb back up again, even though you can see the market kind of going down here, which means higher rates. So that's why the dollar ended up getting weaker as the interest rates get smaller. And we should probably see a little rally in the dollar. Not much, though, over time, over the next coming weeks. Here's the S&P. This is the measurement of the market. We are at an all-time high yesterday. We're just barely off of it today, so no big deal. We must show, though, that we are more than 2 standard deviations above a very long-term moving average. That generally portends reversion. But take a look, folks. That's been going on since the end of last year. It's above this top little blue line. All that means is the market is extremely strong. There's a huge bid. Market wants to go higher. Dips are being bought. Look at every single dip. Here's a dip, bought. Here's a little dip, bought. Here's a little dip, bought. Little bit, bought. There will come a day when it has a little dip, they buy it, and the market goes way down and gets everybody's attention. But that day has yet to come. Remember last week, or the last 2 weeks ago, I was talking about Apple. I told you this doesn't look good, and it doesn't. It did finally break the 180 level and pressed into the high 160s. It sits at 170 a share right now. I don't like Apple. For the first time in many years, I think Apple is going to retreat. to a significantly lower price. I'm looking at first objective as 150 a share. We will all be talking about that soon. Amazon, new highs. These are the Mag 7. Basically new highs, folks. Google came off, but kind of covering a little. Meta came off, but recovering. Microsoft, new highs, basically. Netflix, highs. NVIDIA, starting to get volatile, but let's face it, when you're getting close to $1,000 a share, it's volatile. And it's going to move more in terms of dollars, but not in terms of percent. We have a few other things that broke down. I'll show you a stack that actually broke down. Our AI got us out of this one. This is in some of the portfolios you might have noticed that might have gotten out this morning. Market did go down today. The AI gave us the signal that this dip was just enough for us to be out of the market, no longer hold Merck, the well-known pharmaceutical. All right, so, no way to go further than about talking about Bitcoin. We got to sneak that in, folks. I don't know what to say about this. I think everybody knows that I can say I'm right about one thing for sure always, and it's been the coin environment. Bitcoin is doing what I suspect it will continue to do, which is go higher. I'm calling for $100,000 a coin by summer. I know that's a large rally. We're sitting now at about 73,000. These are all-time highs, folks. No matter how far back we go, the last major dip, as you guys probably remember, was this, but we've achieved that. We are at all-time highs on Bitcoin. I don't see the downside of this market right now. I see any Fibonacci retracements here. The first buy opportunity would be if it goes down to 55,500. That's what they would call right in here a 382 retracement. But I just don't know. And to this, we can now move into the smart folios, and you'll see why. So as everybody knows, we have many smart folios, but there's 3 core smart folios. And they basically represent everybody in the universe that invests in the market. You have a conservative portfolio, a balanced portfolio, and an aggressive portfolio. Flip does not believe in 60-40 portfolios. 60-40s is a concoction made by modern portfolio theory that has proven to be under par. In other words, it basically deeply underperforms the market. So most money managers are trying to move away from it. If you hear the word 60-40 and you ever talk to a manager, I think that should be an attention getter to say maybe they're running in an old-fashioned way. What we've done on the 3 major portfolios is this. The conservative, we've changed around some of the components. So for example, we used to have a 10% component of AT&T. We've divided that and put half into AT&T and took the other half and put it into Verizon. Why? They are paying 6.6% dividends. Verizon and AT&T are actually starting to look good finally. And we want a better representation of the telecoms as if the market were to go higher. Plus they pay the 6.6. We've also, to each of the portfolios, we have added a tiny amount of IBIT. IBIT is Bitcoin. So the conservative portfolio will now carry a 1% position in Bitcoin. So if you put $10,000 into a conservative portfolio, know that literally 1% or $100 will go into Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. And by the way, for the balanced, it'll be 2%. In the aggressive, it'll be 3%. So just know this. We use Bitcoin as the alt, not gold. We could use gold, but gold isn't doing the same thing as Bitcoin. And after all, if you're on our platform, we do try to take different risks and use machine learning to kind of manage it. So we feel that's a better way to go about diversification in the classic sense, of saying, hey, we want to have a different approach to the markets, and not just by changing the things we own inside of our portfolios. Another one that we changed is the balanced a little bit. And these are all tweaks, not to rebalance portfolios. We don't do that. We do kick things out, however. So for example, the balanced portfolio.
Kelly, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to share a screen so they can see a visual.
Sure.
So this is the current conservative portfolio. Kelly was just discussing the changes to that. And for anyone who's new, who has never seen the platform before, all these smart folios he's talking about are under this invest section right here. So go ahead, Kelly. Here's balance.
Can people see that? I think they still see my screen.
Oh, they might.
Yeah, go ahead, show them that, because this is important, folks.
Sorry. Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry, I didn't turn yours off. I'm going to go back to conservative first. So under invest here, if we go to conservative, so these are the allocations right now. Let's try this again. So Kelly, you said 1% IBIT adding to this, and then what else? You said adding Verizon as well. Any other changes on conservative out of this mix?
Is the bonds, and we will replace that with something else. Those changes are in the mix. They will be put out hopefully by Friday, if not early next week. And then you will see these changes occur, and that'll be transparent to all the users on the platform, because what'll happen is you'll get some emails saying something was sold. Then you get another email maybe a couple of days later that something was bought. So just recognize that there's going to be changes to these individual portfolios that will, we feel, better represent a 2024 mix to go forward than the 2023 mix, which did pretty well.
Definitely.
So those are the three main portfolios. You can go back real quick to that screen. No, not this screen, the prior one, just so people understand.
Oh, yeah.
If you go into your platform, you will always see those three front and center.
Yep.
And those things that have changes going on in the back end, and some of the machine learning, which we can talk about a little bit more, I'll give you some thoughts on how that is going to now look going forward. So there's something exciting has happened there as well. But the main thing, everybody, is to recognize that the three major portfolios will be tweaked. Tweaked meaning, again, small changes in the underlying structure to better represent 2024 expectations and the machine learning components behavior around the slightly different mix. That's what's going to be happening. So look for these things. Other things to look for. We have assembled a flipcoin smartfolio. The software is all there for it. The flipcoin smartfolio will trade just one thing, the IBIT, which is the stock I showed you before. Lee, let me share my screen again.
Yeah. Let me put that back on. Go ahead.
So I think everybody should be aware nowadays we have this is a new symbol. It's very little trading. Take a look. It's only been around for like 2 months, 2.5 months. And this is what it's doing. All this is the most recent appreciation of Bitcoin, but it is in the presence of having using an ETF that only trades the Bitcoin, similar to the GBTC. However, we feel this is a better product. It is a better product, and it's cheaper to own, and it's more efficient to own. The smart folio that we will have around Bitcoin will be called the flipcoin, and we are very close to putting that out. And what we're going to do initially is we want to have a 50% allocation to a core position in Bitcoin and a 50% position into the trading management of Bitcoin. In other words, we'll try to buy the momentum and sell the fact. That model proves very successful. We are running machine learning on it already. We hope to have results that could put this in play hopefully as early as the end of next week. So that's something to look for as well. Furthermore, we will make a small tweak to red oil. We will change marginally the allocations of All Plains American and Energy Transfer, the two big components in that. Take a look. Here's Energy Transfer, folks. Basically, all-time highs. Here's All Plains Americans. Made a new all-time high today. We believe strongly in these stocks. You've heard me mention these things for months. So here's where the science comes in. The management and tweaking of portfolios on an ongoing basis using machine learning. Now, we only got about 4 minutes left before we do Q&A. Let me tell you some things going on the machine learning front. We've recently made some, I think, successful approaches to a new machine learning model that is more efficient and will ultimately allow us to map more and more symbols and offer AI on them. What we will do is we will replace in the days to come what we think is a superior system of machine learning over the one we use now. Why is it superior? Well, one, it's been recoded into a different language. We have almost all the code done, but the language, so we can use our old existing AI that is already there for now, but when we have the new one, it will operate quicker. Quicker means that you may see more unusual signals and maybe a few more signals every year per symbol. The reason is that this particular concept is showing even superior efficacy on learning than the one we've been using before. So we have high expectations for this product. It is all under one roof now as well. It'll be more efficient, faster. Faster to you doesn't mean anything, but to us it does because of the server time we use on the back end to be able to run these, what they call large model machine learning. That just means we do what they call an exhaustive search on data and march it forward over time so that we can walk it forward in the future, which means that's what we do. We walk forward not knowing what tomorrow brings. What we've noticed and the science that we've discovered so far is that the signals generated to exit the market are quicker and should enhance performance on the margin. And every margin matters, even if it's 0.5% a year. It matters because it's all accumulative, correct? We accrete performance. Also, it reduces risk, which I think is even the more important component. It is not all about making money. And before we get into Q&A, I'm going to leave everybody with a real important thought, which is, in my career, it was always about managing the risk. The performance comes over time, but you must manage the risk. But the problem I have, and I've learned since being with Flip, is that generally performance is measured by performance. How much did you make? What did the S&P do? Nobody asks that question when the market goes down 20 or 30% in a year. They only ask that question when the market is going up, as it is now. So, and what people do on Main Street, which I know people here at Flip are not, is they chase performance. They kind of think, well, if I'm not beating the S&P, I got to get into something that is. Or if I'm not getting close to the S&P, I got to be in something that is. Frankly, that is really a poor way to look at the markets. You have to understand what risk do you want to take to do that. Going to the hot manager is really fool's play. I highly recommend that you understand that managing your money in the market, which most of us do all around the world, is a function of, yes, how much money you make, but how much money you risked to make it. And if you don't look at that equation, that ratio, that quotient, then you are not approaching the market correctly. So this is education for everybody. And I will try to continue to emphasize this through different kinds of exposures on future AI circles. And with that, Lee, let's do some Q&A if there's any.
I maybe have a comparison to make. So talk about, so like last year, for instance, and I'll spare the exact numbers, but let's just assume that our balanced smart folio and the S&P or the spider had the exact same returns last year. But in balance, say we were only invested 60% of the time. Just talk about the value of that.
Good point, Lee. And this is something that came up actually pretty recently. If everybody notices, if you look at any of the conservative or balanced or aggressive portfolios, there is a component in there that is the S&P 500 itself, the SPY. So in our case, the SPY is the overall market. That is the bet. And of course, we use machine learning algorithmic approaches to manage the ownership of the SPY. And each of those portfolios all have a certain percentage of that component to say, we're going to trade them the overall market as a proxy with some of our money. And the rest of our money is going to be in other stocks also managed by machine learning. The question is that if we just bought the SPY last year, we would have been up 26%. That's great. However, if we just bought the balanced portfolio at the beginning of 2023, last year, we would have made also the same 26%. But in that 26% on the balanced, the S&P was not in the market. That means 80% of our money, because the balanced portfolio has a 20 or 20, I think it's a 20% allocation. I can't remember. We have so many.
Yeah, it's 33. It's a third of it in balance.
It's a third, 30%. That means that 70% of our money actually made the S&P. That means 30% of our money wasn't at risk, right? That money was in cash. So if you can make part of your portfolio do as well as the market and have cash for a rainy day, that's even better than having all your money into the market and performing the same as the market.
Right.
So this is a critical thing to know. On Wall Street, it was very important to make available cash work harder to approach the market. So you had unavailable cash that was sitting on the sidelines, not in the market, that was what they call lowering your beta, not being used, but it could be used if the approach says to use it. For example, to hedge your portfolio or to buy something else. So the idea at Flip ultimately is that you will always have larger cash positions in your portfolios, but that doesn't mean the portfolio will underperform the market. This is especially true if the market is not as joyous as it has been, especially over the last 6 months now.
Right.
Where when the markets go down, you definitely want to have more cash.
Yep.
So we've been fortunate. Our portfolios performed as well as the market, even using far less cash. So critical to note.
Thank you for explaining that. I know how important it is, but it's nice to hear it out of your mouth instead of mine. It'll say it a little bit more eloquently. So just to reiterate, we have one question to answer, but before, in case anyone didn't know, so the Q&A portion right now is actually kind of your gateway towards potentially getting an Amazon gift card. So what we'll do is I'll have Kelly do it again. He's going to pick what he thinks is the best question that's asked in the chat. And we will email you over a $25 Amazon gift card. You do have to be an iFlip user and you must be in a smart folio to win. And then how you win or how you claim this is either by emailing our mailbag at iFlip Invest email, or you can text this number. I would actually do email. I'm not 100% sure if the text code is on today. So let's just say email. And as for that, I will bring up Susan's question. Oops. This should be and feel free to correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, but it says when trying to see Velox, I can't find a place where you can create an account. This might not be exactly what you're asking, but if you're looking into Velox to get like a 1099 or something, that's actually inside of the iFlip platform. So you can go to the document section when you log into your iFlip account, and you'll see the 1099 there. If you do have like a non-IRA type account that is subject to those 1099s. Susan, feel free to correct me if I didn't get, I guess, an answer for your question. Jay, is there a YouTube to help set up the iFlip account? I actually have never thought of this.
Neither have I. And I like the question because we should have one. It's like, here's how you set up an account on at Flip.
We
Click
do have, yeah.
that.
So let's talk about what we do have. So since you guys are already watching this on YouTube, when we're done here, don't do it now because you might end up being our winner tonight, and you might not be able to redeem your prize. But once we're done, there is a playlist section on our YouTube channel. There's one, I believe it's called Intro to iFlip. It has a 2-minute kind of overview as to who we are, and then there's also about a 3-minute video walking you through the platform. Just to be transparent, it is a year or two old now, so not everything looks exactly the same, but you'll get a really good idea for the platform and all of that. However, Jay, I thank you for bringing that up. We might want to add that. And to be honest, it is pretty straightforward. It's, what's your name, where do you live, all the identity verification stuff, and then at the end you pick an account type. But that's something worth noting, and we will probably have one uploaded for you here pretty soon. Let's go to the next one from Steve. Do you see a potential dump of Bitcoin this summer? I think you just said the opposite, but
Steve, I can tell you that I think it goes to $100,000 by June, July. Yes, summers never seem to be good, but we're in a new stage, I think, of the ownership of Bitcoin. I think some hurdles have been cleared. And the one underlying reason where I can say that is, again, the formation by BlackRock of the IBIT ETF that represents now the very best proxy for Bitcoin. The reason I'll add to that, keep in mind that by BlackRock opening up this product, it really makes available the ownership of Bitcoin at an institutional level. In other words, there will be it's not just Flip that's going to add parts of Bitcoin into a portfolio. It's large mutual funds. If you have a viable product backed by the SEC that is trading in something new, you can count on the fact that that will be added to portfolios around the country in various degrees. So we have some underlying bid in the market from the $36 trillion that represent, trillion, by the way, 1 year's GDP is invested in the market through mutual funds and or ETFs. That money has the ability to buy that. So without a 36 trillion, I don't need to say that even if 1% or 0.5% were to participate in the Bitcoin market, well, you can kind of see. Also, keep in mind, Bitcoin only has a market cap right now of about 1.4 trillion at the current price. So it has a long way to go. And I wouldn't be looking to buy a big dump. If it does occur, I would recommend buying it. And by the way, I'll answer another question
just
along with
one second, real quick. I mean, to play devil's advocate, if someone got into Bitcoin, say around the 40,000 mark, and they see now, wow, it's pretty close to all-time highs, if not already at all-time highs. You don't see there being enough sellers for it to dump? You think there'll be more buyers that still believe in it?
If you have prices at their high, there's way more buyers than there are sellers. I mean, that question is kind of asked and answered.
Sure.
And I think there's another question by Steve Bolton. It looks like,
Yeah.
No, I don't think the other currencies fall by the wayside. I've been adamant that we're moving into a paradigm of Bitcoin or bust. The only thing that may survive this because of different technologies is Ethereum. So I understand there's all kinds of coins, but the whole concept of cryptocurrency is really a new proxy against fiat currencies that exist in the three major GDP producing worlds, which are the US, China, in Europe. That's $100 trillion of GDP between the three countries. And so there is really no room for any other major cryptocurrency that can act worldwide. Yes, your Ethereum can maybe do it, but I can tell you, if there's activity in other coins, they will fall by the wayside over time. It is going to be replaced by the Cadillac. And the Cadillac, which maybe you don't say a Cadillac anymore, the Cadillac is cryptocurrencies. So no, I am not optimistic for the future of coins outside the Bitcoin world.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm just responding to someone in the chat. Let's go back to Susan. So I've heard this from a couple other people, and I thought these were turned off. What's Velox is basically sending a notification that there's activity in your account, and then people click on it and they're like, I don't have a Velox account. What am I supposed to do with this? So those should have been turned off. If you're still getting them, I'm sorry, I'll bring it up again. But you can always see the activity in the activity section inside the iFlip platform as well. Like, for instance, lately there have been dividends that have been paid in some of the portfolios, so they might be dividend payments in the last couple weeks. Yano, go ahead.
I'm going to answer the question from Janu.
Right here,
right there. Yes, and that's, I think I alluded to that earlier. There will be a flipcoin product, which will be our response to, now that we have IBIT. We will use that technology we had for the cryptocurrency before that we tried to offer, but got shut down by FINRA and Velox. And now we do, because we have the IBIT, yes, we can use and aim our technology, guns, ammo at IBIT. And honestly, in many ways, this is an easier product to do it on anyway, because it's even deeper, cheaper, and tighter markets.
Definitely. Justin said, I disagree. Talking about Cardano has too much utility to not have a future. If you would like to address that, feel free.
First of all, I understand what that currency is, along with several others. Is another cryptocurrencies. There will be survivors and there won't. I don't believe Cardano will be a survivor. And I'm looking at it really from the banking point of view. Banks do not like cryptocurrency. There certainly will not accept more than one, maybe two, should they ever become so accepted. Well, one has already been accepted, IBIT, right? In the Bitcoin. The one that's right behind it has to be Ethereum. Why? Because the technology is different. They don't use the blockchain in the same way. Matter of fact, it's an improvement, actually. I don't see the other currencies, the other cryptocurrencies going anywhere but down and out. That's my personal opinion. And for what it's worth, it is not based on experience, because it would be unfair to say that. These things are literally 10 years old, 15 years old, or less anyway. So this isn't about experience. This is about the way a bank works and how worldwide transactions work. And I don't see worldwide transactions occurring in several cryptos. I do see them possibly being handled by one, aside from the fact that at some point we know that the banks want to offer their own, like a government will do it. I don't see that working either, although they'll try hard. Because I think the day and age now is that we're afraid of government having too much inspection of our bank accounts and our uses of these kind of products. That's that I think the world does not want. And if that's the case, those bank products, I think, they will not go far, if anywhere. And I think anything beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, I even feel only has a 50-50 chance to survive. If that makes it, great. I don't see the other currencies. I'm sorry. I wish I could answer differently. I could be made to be convinced, but I'd have to have some evidence as to why it could be useful as a worldwide currency in the future.
Makes sense. Yeah, you're right. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, crypto itself is still pretty new. So it's hard to say much outside of speculation and educated guesses, I guess.
It's all
Not to
yes,
demean anything that's already been said about it, but
right.
to
And,
some level.
and I'll add one last thing. I'm sure
Yeah.
someone could argue back very hard against what I have just said, but this is just my opinion,
Yep.
and that's all I can have. It's an opinion based on living in the banking world for a long time, and maybe that's jaded my opinion.
Sure. That makes sense. Francisco asked when the smart folios will be updated. I don't know if we have an exact date. I know basically long to shorten this whole thing, there's a couple things that have to be done once Kelly and the AI decide to update a smart folio. Kelly, it's in the works, right?
Yeah, but it's all in the works. They were put in last week. The idea is now is to update them. It's not really hard to do it, but it's finding the bandwidth, and also we have to do at least some basic tests
Sure.
on offline to make sure that these things are going to behave the way we expect.
Perfect. I'm going to take that as the last question. We're already over about 5 or so minutes. Kelly, feel free to look through the different questions. I'm going to put up the
It
giveaway.
has to be the question, and I'm sorry if that person is new, but the person did ask the right question, which is there should be a little YouTube video of, say, opening an account at Flip, an individual account or a trust account, and then click a button and watch the YouTube. First you click here, then you click there, then you put this in. Obviously, it's a wise idea. I have to call that the best question, but I have a feeling because if you don't, that person doesn't have an account, they can't win. So maybe
That's all right. Jay, if you just reach out to Mailbag and I will put the, give me a second. I'll put the little,
yeah, get a smart folio within like 10 days and you're good.
yeah. So just email us at mailbag@iflipinvest.com. If you don't have an account set up yet and you are interested, we can work with you. It was a good question. It was honestly very helpful for me. I'd never thought of it. It feels like common sense, but at the same time, it's not. It's you still want to know where to go and what to do and all that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. I
Trying to think.
appreciate that.
Nothing really else. I'll just keep this open for a second. Just as a reminder, our next AI Circle is on March 27th, and it'll be at this exact same time that we started this one. So 2:30 for some of you on the West Coast. Kelly's back to 2:30 now, and then you guys on the East Coast, it'll be 5:30 your time. So let me just double check the chat. And if we don't get to all of them, if there's any others that came through, we will get to them next time. I'm not seeing anything. So Kelly, thank you as always for joining us. Thanks for sharing your expertise and opining, as you like to say, on crypto and many other things. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and we will see you again in a couple weeks. Take care.